Right to the point. I've been getting probably a couple requests on how to use StratGen, how to use it properly, how to find good strategies with it. And I feel like I've rushed StratGen a lot in terms of like showing you how to use it. So I just wanted to do another full session on how to use StratGen, what it is, and how you can find good and profitable strategies with it using computers to generate the code and not writing the code from scratch. Okay. That's the main reason why I built StratGen and use it for myself is to speed up the process of finding good strategies, right? Testing them in an efficient way. So that's what this session is going to be going over. This is recorded as well, so you'll be able to see this in the future. So this is mainly to help people kind of help you use StratGen. So if you already know how to use it, then maybe you want a refresher, or if you've never heard of it, or maybe you started using it but you still don't know how to use it properly. That's what this recording is here for. So, hey Francois, where are you, Jacob? I am in Miami. That's where I'm at right now. Where are you at? I'm guessing France. That makes sense. Good. That's great. Would love to visit. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. All right. This is the strategy analyzer in NinjaTrader, which is the platform I use to build and run and test trading systems. I just want to see how can I hide names and annotators. Hide a video panel. Okay. I think that should hide everything. Okay. So StratGen is a add-on to NinjaTrader. All right. So let's think of it as an app where you have, the iPhone and you build apps for it. Now, the reason why it's an app and not a standalone product is NinjaTrader is a really great platform for running and building trading systems. They have a great API, great documentation, and for me to build all that from scratch again would take an enormous amount of work. So we're already leveraging NinjaTrader and its backtesting potential, which is very good and realistic, and simply building on top of that. The problem that a lot of algo traders have, and that's what I had at the beginning, was coding strategies from scratch became very tedious. It was hard for me to test a lot of different scenarios, testing multiple markets or multiple time frames. And the hardest part was testing multiple, signals, testing multiple indicators at once and picking the best one alongside profit targets and stop losses. If I wanted to try, RSI cross above 10, 20, 10, 20, 30, et cetera, that was easy. But if I wanted to test RSI cross above 10, 20, 30, MACD cross above zero, below zero, SMA cross above close, for me to test all those in one go took so much time. And that was my main problem that I had with testing strategies efficiently. I wanted to be able to test 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 different ideas on a daily basis. And NinjaTrader wasn't cutting it to do that. So StratGen solves that problem for us, and is able to test multiple different signals over a given amount of time, as well as different time frames and instruments as well. So that's the main solution, and it's helped me generate hundreds of strategies that I trade live, and it's helped me speed up that process a lot so I can find alpha quicker and more efficiently. So the first step, obviously, installing StratGen. All that information can be found in the course. I'm not going to go over that. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically downloading the zip file and importing that zip file as well as some of the required dependencies. Okay, so if you have questions about installing, just email me or send me a DM. That should be that's found in the course, and I think most of you can follow that. But what I'm going to be talking about is how to use it properly and how to build good strategies from it. Okay, so step number one, The absolute first step you need is our genetic template, right? So this template, what it does is it loads the signals for you, basically preloads all the signals for the indicators in one go. So you have them all loaded right away. So when you load up StratGen, they're up there. So that file, I'm gonna attach it to the Discord right now. So you go to NinjaTrader, templates, strategy, and then if you go to WeTrade Labs StratGen V2 folder, you'll see my template here. So this file, this is step one. This file needs to be in this directory here. I will put it on the Discord. I've attached this before, but in case anyone missed it. Template, strategy, all genetic. Okay. So this is step one. You need this file in this folder. I highly recommend using this. It will speed up your time a lot. So that file goes in there. Okay. So with that file loaded and that file in there, in the NinjaTrader strategy analyzer, you can now load that template. Okay. So if I hit template load, I'll see that all genetic file in there. Okay. Now, when I load that file, it tells StratGen to load all the potential signals that we can trade. Okay. So on the right here, you see a bunch of signals with a checkbox. Some are still missing as they're new and still need to be tested, but most of them are checked. Okay. And these are all the signals we can start building strategies on and testing them with, right? Um, some examples are, low crossing below a Keltner channel low, MACD is rising, um, RSI greater than 90, that sort of thing. Okay. Now you actually see this twice. You see an entries one ad signal and then an entries two ad signal, and they're exactly the same. The only difference is that we're going to be testing up to two signals for strategy ideas. Okay. And for strategies, for good, robust strategies, the least amount of signals, the better. The more signals you have a higher chance of overfitting. Also, your strategy is more complex, so it's harder to maintain. You want simple strategies. So 1 to 2 signals tends to do the best. If you don't believe me, check out Kevin Davey. He's a good friend of mine, and he's a world-class champion trader on the futures market. And he's actually done some analysis and found that 2 signals was the best. So it actually only loads 2. You could do 3 if you wanted to, but I don't load that in the genetic template because I wouldn't trade with 3 signals. I like 2 or less. If that makes sense. So it does that twice. What it also does is it loads profit target. So from 40 ticks to 400 ticks and a stop loss of 40 ticks to 400 ticks, right? So minimum 40, maximum 400, increment by 40. Now you could change this if you wanted to maybe a more specific number if you wanted. I just wanted a wide range of different profit target levels to use. So that's why I did that 40 to 400. All right. Trail stops disabled. All of these other signals are disabled. And that is sort of up to more customization for you if you want it. Personally, I like simple strategies that have a profit target and stop loss. But once in a while, I will try some new ideas, maybe using a trail stop or MBAR's profit. At the end of the day, this template is going to cover most of the bases on what good strategies look like. But if you really want to go into more customized, more advanced, if you're more of an advanced algo trader, then you could definitely use more of these settings. But I still think a solid profit target and stop loss and ticks is great. Great exits. Okay. So then from here, we can choose which symbol we want to start building strategies on. All right. I'm going to use NQ futures for this video, but on a daily basis, I'm trying different signals for different instruments. I'm trying S&P futures. I'm trying, agricultures, energies, commodities, all that sort of stuff. For now, we're going to keep it simple on just NQ strategies. I know most of you watching here that are just starting out are probably just trading S&P or NQ futures. And yes, could you build a whole portfolio of just S&P or NASDAQ futures? Yes, you could. But I do want to, preface this with you could try different symbols with this, and I recommend you do it. We have some different time frames. So we have a minimum of 5 minute and a maximum of 10 minute. Usually I like this a bit wider. So I'm actually going to change this to, let's do between 5 and 30. Increment by 5 minute. Now, the start and end date, this is very important. Okay. When you're building strategies, it's important to use multiple different market regimes to test if your strategy is going to be robust. Okay. So initially, what I recommend is when you're building a strategy, use 1 year in sample period. Okay. So this is basically the in sample period, which is going to be 2022. And StratGen is going to find the best strategies that made the most money in 2022. Okay. So it's going to give you hundreds of strategies that did the best in 2022, but that doesn't really mean much, right? It's a start, right? We have some good strategies to look at, but how did they do thereafter? How did they do up until now is what's more important. Um, we don't want to tell StratGen to find strategies that have made money over a really long period of time because that's going to fit them to more years worth of data and we're going to have less years of robust data to test it without a sample. Okay. So I always recommend 1 year, especially if the years are different regimes, right? So 2022 for NASDAQ, as we know, was a bearish year. I believe it closed down 19%. And thereafter, it's closed up. So it's important to test strategies in those different regimes to make sure it's robust and that it can handle future data. Because when we test this, when we trade the strategy live, we want to make sure we have the full amount of confidence that this strategy can do well with robust new data. Okay. So really limiting that in the development phase is really important. Okay. So I'm just going to use 2022. The trading hours. This is also very important too. So I've selected US equities RTH, which is the cash session, aka normal stock market hours of 9:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern. All right. When you're building strategies, you can tell what trading hours to use, what data to use. Most futures traders will use the 24-hour session, which by default is the use instrument settings in NinjaTrader. If you're building strategies for a 24-hour session, right, you need to make sure that when you're running that strategy, those settings are the same, right? That's not changing. So when we're using US equities RTH, when we're developing and running this strategy live, we need to make sure that setting is always the same, or else we're going to get different results. And our back test is basically flown out the window if we're using another trading hour session. Okay. So that's really important. So US equities RTH, some of the other settings, we are optimizing our data series, which means we're going to try between 5 and 30-minute increment by 5. You could make this wider if you wanted to. Usually for US equities RTH sessions, I like to keep it under 30 because once you get into 45 or 60-minute bars, it's just not enough data for that session of 9:30 to 4. Now, if you're trading 24 hours, you can definitely experiment with longer bar sizes. In fact, I recommend it. I have many strategies that trade on 200 or 300-minute bars. The next thing that I like to look at, or the next big step too, is having the optimize on custom max trades DD optimization fitness. Okay, so this is custom as well. This is not found in NinjaTrader. Most of you watching probably don't have this, but I will show you where to put it. So that file is going to go into NinjaTrader 8 bin custom optimization fitnesses. And once again, I'm going to share this file in Discord. And simply what this does is this allows us to use return to drawdown, which is my favorite metric for building strategies, as an optimization fitness, right? We're able to optimize strategies and find the best return to drawdown. And what is a return to drawdown? That's the net profit divided by the max drawdown. Okay. I have found that this metric is just works the best for my needs, for my risk management. And it's a very easy metric to understand. You just take the net profit of the back test divided by the max drawdown, and then you get a ratio. Now, for that ratio, we want above 2 at least, and the higher the better. And that shows us that every strategy has a max drawdown, but if the net profit is 2 times or greater than the max drawdown, that means more often than not, it's a smooth equity curve and it's on its way up. Okay. Now, you can use the default NinjaTrader optimization fitnesses as well. That's not a problem. You could use net profit or Sortino. But I do like this one a lot because I primarily use return to drawdown on both my individual strategies and my portfolio. So I highly recommend using that optimization fitness. Once again, I put that file in the Discord and you're going to put that file in this path. Okay. So that's the second file you need, right? So the first file was the genetic template, right? That goes in your templates folder. And this second file is your optimization fitness, and that goes in your optimization fitness folder. Okay, so that's all in the Discord. All right. Some of our other settings, we have a genetic optimization. I don't want to go too in depth in this. Basically, it's going to test a wide range of signals, not every single signal, because to run every single signal will take a day based on how many signals there is. So it kind of limits them in a way. And lastly, we have exit on session close as well. So this would be selling positions on the session close. I know a lot of you watching do want to build day trading systems. Primarily, I do focus on day trading systems. I just like being in cash at the end of the day and also meets a lot of risk management needs as well. But you can uncheck that if you want, but by default, it is checked. Okay, with all that being said, I'm going to hit run. And what's going to happen is StratGen is going to test all those signals for each of those time frames, and then return us the best signals that are going to be optimized based on the return drawdown to us. And then from there, we can test those signals out of sample to see if they're robust, and eventually, run them in a sim demo account for 30 days and then trade them live. That's sort of my process for finding good strategies. Okay. I use StratGen every single day. I'm looking for strategies, right? Every day I'm spending 2 to 3 hours using StratGen to find strategies. I test probably, I don't know, maybe 2,000 to 5,000 strategies a day. And of the 5,000 a day that I test, I probably only find 3 to 5 on a daily basis. That is the expectations you need to have, right? You're not going to find a lot of good strategies. A lot of them are going to be duds. And that's how it should be. It shouldn't be easy to find strategies. Okay. Well, like good strategies are going to be hard to find and are truly a grind. They're not easy to find. Okay. So don't expect to run StratGen and find, 10 good strategies, 100 good strategies, 1,000 good strategies a day. It's just not realistic. Usually it's 1% or less. Speaking of good strategies, so StratGen found us some strategies. It's returned us at the top here, some of these strategy ideas. And then you might say, oh, Jacob, wow, like I just found 10 strategies right now. Like you just said that you only found three, what the heck? Like you just lied to me. Well, these are all optimized. They've done well for 2022, and that's great and all. But how have they done in 2023 and 2024? And you're going to see how many fail here. Okay. So the first one here, we can see this strategy had a 7.97 return to drawdown. It made 50,000 per e-mini net profit, and then had a max drawdown of 6,360. Right. So really good. The next step is what I do is once we get our list, now I'm going to test them out of sample. Okay. So this first one, I'm going to right click at the top here. So I'm going to right click and then open a new tab. And I wanted to get it out of the optimization phase, right, in a separate tab so I can look at it, so I can kind of zoom in on it and hone in on it. And now I want to test this strategy out of sample. I want to see if it's robust, right? Cool. It made money in 2022. That's great and all, but that means nothing because what matters now is if I want to trade the strategy tomorrow, right, which I may in sim, I want to see if it's robust. So I've opened it in a new tab, right? Once again, I right clicked it and then selected open a new strategy analyzer tab. And this end date here, I'm going to now change to today, all right, to June 6, 2024. And I'm looking for this net profit, this 50,000 to be higher. Okay. So I want it to be higher. I'm going to hit run. Okay. I went to 76,000 and 11,000 max drawdown. Right. So if we look at that equity curve, right, let's see if I can annotate here. I can. Cool. So the in sample period ended, I'd say around here. That was in sample, right? And then out of sample, we can see it's gone up and to the right. That's very good. That's awesome, right? That's great news. So, Jacob, you have a good strategy. Like start trading this tomorrow. Well, hold on. There's still a couple more steps that we got to do. All right. So, first of all, this was just the long signal. Okay. So I do want to build a short signal. This was a long only strategy. When we use StratGen, you saw at the top that only long was selected. So this is only a long only signal. I do want a short side too. I'm not a huge fan of long only strategies. In my portfolio, I do have one long only strategy. So see, I'm a hypocrite. But if you have a portfolio of 10 bots, one could be long only if you're trading in a stock indices. But you do want the long and short, all right? Because you don't know what the market's going to do. Yes, on average, markets do go up for stock indices, but you never know what could happen. So it's always good to have a long and short signal. So the next thing we're going to do is build a short signal. Now, there was also nine other strategies. I don't have time, but there's nine other strategies here. So I would actually go through these other strategies too, and we might have found two or three strategies. Um, it just so happened the first one seemed to do well, but if we test it, let's test one more. Let's try this one. I'm gonna try and clear my annotations too. You guys can still see that, right? Hold on. There we go. Okay. This was the second strategy. I'll change the end date to today. Okay, this strategy did better as well. It's probably because it's long and NQ has gone up in the last 2 years. So all of these probably look pretty good. But now we're going to do the short side. You're going to see how much harder it is to find short strategies. Okay. So we have our long side, but we want a short side, right? We want to be able to make money on the short side because the market can go down and it can go down fast. It might go down tomorrow, it might go down in a year. We don't know. But we want to have that confidence that, hey, our strategy can go long and short. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the side to short at the top here in the StratGen settings. Just expanding the side, checking short, and then unchecking long. All right. Now, doing the short side takes a couple more steps because we've built the long side, and that long side has a set profit target and stop loss. We can see it has a 320 tick profit target, a 360 tick stop loss, and it trades on NASDAQ 15 minutes. Okay. I want to line those up for the short side as well. Okay. I want it to have symmetrical profit targets and stop losses, and of course, the same time frame. So everything matches up and is symmetrical. The less amount of variables, the better. Okay. I don't want different variables for long and short profit targets if I don't need to. So in the profit target here, I'm actually going to override the genetic template and use these settings from the long trade. All right. So if we go to profit target, it's 320. So now I'm going to set it, I'm statically going to set it to 320. So 320 semicolon 321. And then the stop loss was 360. So I'm telling StratGen to force to use those profit target and stop losses so they line up with the long side. 320, 360. And the time frame was 15 minutes. So in the value here for the time frame, I'm going to do 15-minute, semicolon 15-minute one. And that says, hey, just use that one setting. Don't go above or beyond that. All right. So with that set and the short side set, and I'm going to hit run. And now it's going to find short signals for NQ for this time period. And it's going to be a little bit faster because now we're only using those set profit targets and stop losses as well as that time frame. The only thing it's searching for is those signals, right? What indicators, what price action, what signals do we use to find these good short strategies? And then what we're going to do once we test that other sample and it works out, we'll combine it into one strategy. But we're probably going to have a little bit more a harder time testing these out of sample because, as we know, stock indices go up over time. So finding a short signal that makes money out of sample is going to be a lot tougher. All right, so we got 10 strategies. The top one had an 8.54 return to drawdown, made 38,000, had a max drawdown of 4,000. So same process. I'm going to right click it, hit open in strategy, new strategy analyzer tab. It's going to do that. It's going to show us the 2022 optimized backtest, which looks really great. It looks awesome. But how has it done to today? So I'm going to change the end date to today. And let's see if it's made more money, more than 38,000. I think I clicked it. All right. So I hit it. Right now we tested out a sample and we can see it's gone down to 15,000. Right. So it's lost money since we developed it. Right. We developed it. It hit an equity peak in 2023, but has decayed since then, right? It went from 38,000 down to 15,000. So that's a bad sign. That means the strategy's decayed. The short side has decayed over time. It's something we probably don't want to trade. So let's test the next one. So here's a tip with strategies as well. Usually strategies that trade more often do decay faster, right? We see this strategy made 659 trades in a single year, which is almost 3 times a day. Um, these strategies tend to decay very, very badly. So we'll test this out of sample. It was 119K was the short side. It's gone down to 79 out of sample. Okay. So that doesn't pass. It doesn't make money. So I tend to filter out those strategies that trade a lot. I like to see anywhere from, 30 to 100 trades a year. So these 650s, probably not. I'll test this 368 one. They usually don't do too hot. The more strategy trades, it has to be right a lot more often to be profitable. And doesn't seem to work out, especially for day trading strategies. Okay, so I did the same thing. This has to make more than 87. It went down to 39. So it's decayed in performance. Let's move on to the next. And if we get to the bottom and none of them have passed, we'll just have to run it again. Another method is running this with a different year. We could run this in 2023 and then test this in 2022 out of sample. We could kind of go backwards. That is another way of finding signals as well. But let's see if we can get any in 2022 that do well out of sample. So this did 40 down to 26. Okay, next one is 33. Tested out a sample, doesn't make more than 33. 28. Only decayed a little bit. It's 100K, made 500 trades. I'll still test it just to be unbiased as well. But 500 trades in a year is a lot. Okay, decayed down to 43,000. Next one, this made 22,000. Went down to 4,000. Okay, so far we've tested what 6, 7 in a row. They all have not passed. That's usually what you see, especially on harder to find signals when you're going short. I'll try the 65 one. 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 If not, we might have to do another run. Yeah, it went down to 28. That's okay. We'll do another run. Once again, we're not testing every single signal. To actually do that would take a long time. We're talking days, but we'll hit run again. It's going to generate a new 1,000 signals. I'll catch up on the chat here. Hey, Derek, still missing Miami? Yes, I love it here. It's definitely a place to miss for sure. Are all of your strats day trading your 37 strats? Yes, they are. In your current portfolio of 37 strats, are you only trading one contract for now? No, I'm trading nine right now, but I've decreased it a lot. All right, a second batch have completed. Let's try these out. Went from 92 to 72. So we're seeing a lot of these strategies are decaying, right? They're giving it new data and they're decaying. It's not quite what you want to see. A lot of these have high trade counts. Let's try. I just try this 2011 and then run it again. 201 is still pretty high. There's what 252 trading days in the year. It's almost every day it's trading. I'm down to 63. All right. The rest of these have really high trade counts. So let's do one more run. If we don't get any that pass, then I may use 2023, which is a bullish year, to find a short signal, and then 2022 or be our out of sample. That may be what we have to do. Menzi says, so it's automatically generating random signals with random periods. Yes, it's combining signals together and then testing them and with random periods as well, random parameters. The only parameters that are staying the same are our profit target, stop loss, and then our time frame. Do you have any goals per week on how many new strategies you want to add? Also, I would think there would be diminishing returns as you add more and more strategies. At some point, there is. Usually, you can keep improving a portfolio uh, up until a certain point. Sometimes that could be 30 bots. Maybe you can get up to 50 bots, 70 bots. To at one point, you can't really improve it anymore with the data that you have. Uh, I don't have a weekly goal. I have a process and what I do every day and kind of um how should I say it? I mean, day in, day out, I do it, and we do have like a process manual on how many strategies we've tested, and we go over how they've done and if they improve the portfolio or not. But I don't have a weekly goal. At this point, we do want a library of bots that are ready to launch soon because we do have to run them in sim/a demo account for 30 days. And they have to be profitable after that time period. So we do want a backlog of bots. So we just want to keep building that backlog as fast as possible, but I don't have a set goal of how many I need to build. As far as the diminishing returns on adding strategies, yes, at some point you get to a point where you can't improve your portfolio anymore, and we'll do a separate video on how to improve the portfolio. Um, at some point, you just have to kind of start taking out trading systems that are not doing well, um, and then add new ones and kind of replace them. And usually, when you take out strategies that are not doing well, usually what we do is we take out the worst performing strategy per month, um, and then replace it with one of the new strategies that we built. And so far, that's played out well for us. So uh, that's something a separate topic as well we'll talk about. Okay, let's try this 52K down to 16. Yeah, we're not finding any short signals here. Oh, let's try this 294. All right, so we found nothing for the short side. We've tested probably almost 20 signals, and none of them have passed out of sample. And this can happen a lot. What I'm going to do is let's try one more. Let's do one more run. If not, we'll just test in the other, like I said, the other option is to test the short side in a bullish year, um, and then test the out of sample in a bearish year. And sometimes you can find ideas that way as well, which I'm probably going to do. This will be my last run, my last hoorah for 2022. So StratGen's finding strategies for us, different price action, different indicators, and then presenting us with some the best strategies that it found for the year of 2022. All right, so I'm going to sort by lowest amount of trades. Let's try this one. $24K. Nope, down to 9. Let's try this 48. We're looking for higher than 48 out of sample. Went down to 19. This is okay. I mean, we're weeding out bad strategies. This is great news. We're saving money not trading all these strategies by testing them. Using a mathematical approach. That's what's key here. Is we're all of our ideas are using a mathematical approach on what the computer tells us what to do, which is super important. We're not getting emotional on not trading these ideas. The computer is telling us not to trade them, and we should listen to it. Okay, 50 down to 12. I'll try one more from this batch. Let's try this 80 here. Idea for StratGen V3, have it do forward optimization beforehand. Yes, that is the goal. That's the next big update for us. Automating this process, testing out a sample. So CMB, it's coming out soon. All right, did we just get? I think we got something here. 93. What was it before? It was 80. Okay. So 80 went up 13K since then. Hasn't made a lot of money, but it's been able to make money in 2023 and 2024, which are both bullish years, right? So to make money on the short side on bullish years is great news. I mean, we know the long side is going to make money, right? You could just buy and hold, any long signal will work. But for it to make money, you know, out of sample on this period is great news on the short side. All right. So that's awesome news. So the next step, which we got to combine this into, we got to combine it and export the code. All right. So we're going to combine and export the code. So let's go to the long side. All right. So tab analyzer two tab was our long signal. We can see it was long only. For the strategy name here, we're going to give it a name. We'll call it Miami. And then we're going to click the export checkbox. Now, this export checkbox is going to generate the source code in NinjaTrader in a separate file, thus allowing us for more customization if we want to. But the main benefit of this export is it generates a strategy with its name. So you know when you're running the strategy in NinjaTrader, hey, this is a Miami strategy. It's easy to distinguish. So I'm going to click export and hit run again. Run again will actually export the code file. And then I'm also going to do the short side too. Just copy that name. And I'm going to go to the Analyzer 3 tab, which is our short signal. Also call it Miami. Check the export checkbox. And hit run again. And it's going to generate the short code, right? And then now I'm going to show you how to combine them into one code file so you have a long and short strategy in one, and we'll back test it. Okay, so now that the exports are done, we're going to go into the NinjaScript editor, which is our IDE or where we edit code. So at the top left, you can go to new NinjaScript editor. I already have it open here. And my strategy is on the right here. If I go to M as in Mary, we should see Miami long and short. And it's up to us to combine them. All right, so we have Miami long, Miami short not work. Huh. Export, run. Am I going crazy here? Did I not spell it right? Oh, sorry. I thought I put Miami in the short side. My mistake. Okay, run. There we go. Hey, Tom, good to see you. How do you mentally accept something that's profitable over 10 years but goes 6 to 10 months of flat drawdowns at times? Very good question. Uh, Trading multiple strategies, you have to trade multiple strategies, and that kind of gets rid of that need for one strategy to be successful. It's like um if you only had one friend, right? You're so desperate on that friend to hang out, and he doesn't always want to hang out with you. So if you have multiple friends, you have two or three friends, then if that friend says no or can't hang out, you could go to another friend and kind of fill that void. And it's the same thing with trading a portfolio, as weird as it sounds. When you trade one strategy, you're so desperate for it to work. You're so desperate. You're like, this strategy needs to make so much money for me. I know it's going to work. You're so confident. And the moment it stops working, which a lot of strategies will stop working or go flat or lose money, you're so attached to that result that it actually messes you up and causes you to stop trading or causes you to make emotional decisions. Where if you had 10 or 20 running strategies, you care less, right? Now you're still tracking the data. And if that strategy is doing bad, maybe you take it out, but you're less reliant on it. And you have, 19 other strategies that are allowing you to get some alpha. So that's how I deal with it. Sometimes I am bummed out on a strategy that I've worked really hard on, not making money. But, I'm trading 37 different trading systems right now. So yes, there's a couple duds in there. I probably have 5 or 6 that are not making any money in flat. But then I have another, 31 or 29 that are making money. Um, so that's how you get over it. All right, so we have the short signal, the short code, and the long code. So to combine them, it's very easy. So in the short code, go into your on bar update. I'll zoom in here. Go into on bar update, and then there's an entries region. Okay. We can see our enter short code here. So you're just going to copy the brace of code inside that region. So I'm going to copy that, go to the long side, same thing, go to on bar update, expand the entry. There's the long, and I'm going to make a new line and just paste the short. Okay. So StratGen generated this code for us and these signals, right? So for the long side, it picked, I don't really care what it picked because mathematically I know it's going to do well, but it picked, all right, so first one is the slope. The current slope of the SMA 50 period has to be greater than the last slope, and the low has to be greater than the zigzag high for it to enter long. For it to enter short, the slope of the SMA 50 period has to be greater than zero, and the close has to be less than the 200 SMA. Right? I could care less what it picked. All I care about is, hey, does it work properly? And I know it does because I use StratGen live and I know it works. And B, do these strategies meet my needs? Okay. So we've done that. Now they're in one file. Now there's one more step is I get rid of the long in the name. So now the strategy is just called Miami. That includes both the long and short signal. Okay. So I'm just going to change the name, get rid of the word long, save and compile. And then I'm going to hop back to my strategy analyzer. And now in the strategy list, at the top right here, we should see a strategy just called Miami. So there it is. I clicked it. And now if we hit run, this is outside of StratGen. It's generated the source code. We can see the source code with our own eyes. We can touch it. We can feel it. And yeah, it backtests very well. It has a long and short side. It does very, very well. Still doesn't mean anything. Now we got to check the real-time performance. Okay. So now the next step is to run it in a sim or demo account for 30 days, right? Which I'm going to do. And if it makes money after those 30 days, it's a strategy that I would trade live. Okay. Now, there's another aspect to this of yes, this strategy is good, but how does it interact with my other strategies? And I think we'll do another session for this because we're about end of time here. But we're going to look at taking this strategy and putting in a portfolio of other strategies to see if it makes the portfolio better. Okay. So that's sort of a separate piece. This is a good strategy on its own. It's great. It meets all my needs. It's awesome. But there's a lot more steps. Okay. So we're going to run it in sim for 30 days to see if it makes money. If it doesn't make money in those 30 days, we're not running that strategy. And if it does make money in those 30 days, then we would run that strategy. Simple. Also, how does this strategy work with our portfolio? What if we have 10 other strategies that we've already developed? Does this strategy make it better? Does it make it worse? That's a thing you have to test as well. And we'll do a separate session for that. But the main goal of this video is how to use StratGen and how to build good strategies. And I think in this hour, I've showed you how to do that. This is all recorded, so I know some people couldn't make it, but I just wanted to go over how to use it again because I know I do rush, I do talk very fast, and a lot of the in our live strategy sessions that we do every week, some people miss them, and which is okay, or some people don't watch the recordings, which is okay. So just the more repetitive I can be, I think some people will catch it more. But this is how you use StratGen. We didn't have to write any code, okay, which was great. I guess we did have to copy and paste some code, so maybe we did a little bit. But for a strategy to build a strategy with that using software, it was much faster than us doing it ourselves. Okay, if we were still doing it ourselves, we would still be writing the code for the long side right now after 50 minutes. Okay, even if you're an expert coder. So to build a long and short strategy in 50 minutes, I think is awesome. That could potentially make you, 10, 20% a year. Leo says, assume we implemented a strategy and its performance has been bad. How do we determine if it's time to stop, use it, or continue running it for a while? Great question, Leo. I haven't modeled what's the best way to take out strategies. It's very hard to mathematically come out with the best way. And I just spent a month modeling when's the best time to start a strategy. which I've talked about previously, and it's live recorded. But I haven't done modeled on when's the best time to take out a strategy. Right now, what I do, and this is for risk management purposes, so there's no math backing it up, we take out the worst performing strategy at the end of the month. Okay. So at the end of the month, we find the strategy that's lost the most money in our live portfolio, and we take it out. And either we replace it with something else. If we have something, which we do, just because I built so many bots, we always have something to replace it with. Or you could just take it out. So Leo, that's what we do right now. Cordial says, why don't you go back to 2008? Great question, Cordial. I don't go back to 2008 because the data back then is less relevant to today. Um, the strategies that I built and worked with um, have, how should I say it? I've looked at the current strategies that have been running live, and strategies that I've optimized and built using 2008 data or 2015 data 10 years ago have not done as well. Okay. Now I haven't built a model and showed you guys a report, so obviously you can choose not to believe me. But with intraday trading systems, recent data is important. Now, I do agree. You do need to test in different regimes. You can't just build a strategy that, with the last months of data and optimize it and use that going forward because it's probably going to decay very fast. But if you can build a strategy that can survive at least two different market regimes, usually a bullish and bearish year, it tends to do very well. And the data back in 2008 for NQ or even 2015 or 2012 was nowhere near the same as it is now. Okay. There was less volume back then. There was less liquidity. So I just don't value that data if I'm building day trading systems. So that's why I don't go back to 2008. And I think going back, 2.5 years is sufficient to test on different market regimes. Another thing too is I don't recommend testing on or optimizing data on freak events. Okay. I like to use data after COVID, right? So after about September 2020. And that's the reason why is the price action during COVID was obviously insane, very volatile, but it's not happened since. Okay. Ukraine got kind of close during that catastrophe, but you do want to avoid using that type of data in your systems for robustness testing. Now, I do recommend testing your strategies during Black Swan events, but I don't think you should use the data to build strategies, if that makes sense. Let's say there was a huge drawdown in 2008. You still want to use that for capital requirements? No, no, I only use the drawdown in the development out of sample period. Cartout says I put them in timeout and sim until they get their act together. Yeah, we can talk about starting strategies in a drawdown too. That's a separate. We went over that in 2 sessions ago, but I did model the best time to start a strategy. And mathematically, from my testing, it's been starting in a 50% drawdown. I don't want to overwhelm you guys right now because the goal was StratGen today. So I hope you guys found value in this. This was I think Diego requested this. So Diego, I hope this helps you out. I know you couldn't join the live session, but I know you did request this, and I hoped everyone that watched today were able to pick something up on how to use StratGen. You don't have to use it if you don't want. If you want to build strategies from scratch or you have your own software, that's fine too. I just want you to show. I think the process is more important of testing in and out of sample. And if you want to use StratGen as a tool to do that, great. But I'm not going to cry if you use something else. So that's totally okay. That's our session, guys. If you guys have any questions, send me a DM on Discord or email me, jacob@wetradelabs.com. Have a great Thursday. I don't think we'll be having a session this weekend. So I guess I'm using this as like a precursor to that. But we do live strategy building sessions every weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. And I don't think there will be one this weekend, but we'll pick it back up next weekend. So have a great Thursday, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Peace.